How do you encapsulate almost 3 decades of work? I'm not only talking of days, but of nights under the heat of the sun and under the stars, no? Our lungs exposed to chemicals and cement, and including the dangers of falling from high scaffolds. Um, this afternoon, I am going to encapsulate that for you in 15 minutes. Okay. Maayong gabi sa tanan. I am Kublai Millan. I am an artist. I am here to talk about my art. But my art is not just about me. It is about the people, the places, the spaces that I have touched, shared, lived, and have changed. 3 decades ago, I started as a young fine arts graduate from the University of the Philippines, learning as much as I can in Manila, because I wanted to go home and bring back what I have learned in the big city. I was brimming with skills and overflowing energy, producing works not by the hundreds, but probably by the thousands. It's in Ponce Suites right now. The interiors of our 4th-story owned hotel, a family-owned hotel, is just filled with thousands of works. No? Years of work, of course, alcohol included. It led me to a dead end. Kakagawa ko pa ng mga trabaho ko. Wala nang lumalabas. Parang naubos na sa alcohol at saka sa trabaho. I simply ran out, no? But then I had an opportunity to put up an exhibition in the United States of America. So I worked for months and months and really prepared for this exhibition. But after that, I got denied. I simply cannot fly. Because why? Maybe because I have a Muslim in my name. It's Ray Mujahid. I was devastated and I told myself, I will never do another artwork again unless it's heavier, bigger, and taller than the heaviest, tallest living American. So what was the solution? The only solution is a sculpture, and not just a sculpture, a monument. And then when I first laid my hands on cement, it felt like I was born for that moment. I was really born for this. So I vowed to make large towering works. Since I cannot leave this country, I vowed to make large towering works. And so I filled the facade of our hotel for years, and then it was time for me to fly. The dilemma of flying is, where would I go? So I had to go to communities. My first immersion, my first community was the tribal community of the Talandig tribe. Now, fast forward 25, 30 years ago, today I am working on a community museum to that specific place where I started. No, I went full circle. Last week, I was in Jose Amad Santos in Davao Occidental. No, I'm working with the Manomo tribal community, and you know what? With that community, pumasok tayo doon, and then not knowing na magtuturo tayo, and today, I was commissioned by the National Museum of the Philippines to fill up the 5-story building here. No? Imagine this, yung community na yan, ang gumagawa, working with me. So, yung art ko from an avant-garde artist to this cultural and arts advocate. No? I went to full circle, and I wanted to share that story, if I may, this afternoon. So I got my first commission 25 years ago, and from that day on until today, I have never stopped. one monument after another, one park after another, one city after another, one province after another. They call me the Rotonda King in Mindanao. You would certainly not miss me. I'm in the middle of roads. To do the work, I needed to learn about my subject so I could encapsulate the spirit of the place in one monument. I found myself falling in love with this Mindanao. But this Mindanao, we call our home, is also a land of so much struggle, with a long legacy of strife. My own name is a product of that legacy. Born in Cotabato City at the height of the conflict in the Bangsamoro, my father gave his sons Muslim names for security. This same history prevented me from showing my works in the United States. But now, it has become one of my biggest blessing in disguise. So, but where was this promise and where we were all waiting for? We lost sight of the premise. It is in the premise where our strength lies, our uniqueness, our people, our diverse cultures and colors, our resources and our stories were what the land of promise, this land of promise was premised on. So to conceive the promise, we had to conceive a fulfillable promise. So, yun yung challenge po ngayon is, hindi tayo kailangan mag-relay, maghintay sa iba because we need to look deep inside. No, hindi, yung Mindanao, hindi kailangang tumingin sa malayo. We just have to look deep where we're from. So, my first house is shaped like an agong house. The brass instrument where you bang it, no? So, in this house, no, it made me resonate with the land. I created a whole park around it, and I opened it to the public. I saw for myself how these monuments I was building transformed the communities around them. They started paying attention to what they had long ignored. They started remembering what they had long forgotten. They started celebrating what they had long taken for granted. But what is consistent among all of them is that these monuments are changing our communities. So I was driven into creating extant samples in every aspect of society, concentrating transformative art in a diverse range of communities. For example, art in public hospitals. Taghimo tawag dako kayong kabaw, no, in SPMC. But the difference with this carabao is that these are made of discarded hospital beds. There's a stairs that you can go up to the belly, and there's an actual hospital bed where visitors like you can lie down and feel how it's like, no? Feel how it's like to be poor and sick, to be admitted in that public hospital. So this is where art comes in. So after that, I created an even bigger carabao. This is the time of the pandemic, no? This carabao has triumphed. This is certificate day. So sa ilalim ng carabao is the shape of the virus. The Filipino has triumphed. This carabao is now stepping on this virus. I also made art to grieve loved ones. No, years ago I lost my first cousin to cancer, and in her deathbed, she kissed me, and I kissed her forehead, and she whispered to my ears, "Cousin, please light candles for me." And I took it literally, and I really made hundreds of candles. And it's the shape of a letter C. But in the middle of that letter C, there's one giant candle, the biggest among them. Now, for me, that's God. But that letter C is not for cancer, it's for her name. It's Chinky. So here is where art can come in to for grieving. We also did art in public schools. In my alma mater, the Davao City National High School, during our 25 years, I donated a monument for City High. Probably this is the only public school with this kind of monument. Imagine mo public school ka, greeted by this. We embraced the whole walls, probably half a kilometer of murals, and then we also donated a a gallery. So this is also the only public school with an art gallery. So you know how we are, what I'm trying to do is we do not have to do all the schools. We only need to make one. So one day, if this school will have more artists who are successful, this school can be studied and replicated. Ang formula po dun, dinagdagan natin ng art. So we have art in government centers. Kinsa man day garhimo og mga batas nato, no? Ang mga programa nato but our leaders. So we put it where they are. Now we put the monuments where they are. We put symbols so they could remember their constituents every day. No? So, and if you study these LGUs, no, there's always this drastic change after the monument is made. So, mas nalipay, mas mahappy ang lugar, mas bibo na siya. No? Art can also participate in history. So, for example, gi-magnify nato ang kampilan ni Sultan Kudarat. This is the kampilan of Sultan Kudarat himself that dates back to the 1400s. We magnify it. No, we have to remember this parts of our history. We did art in playgrounds. This one, the slides are from candles, birthday candles, peace candles, and the rides niya, sumasakay ka sa mga laruan na hugis ng kalapati, ng langgam. That symbolizes peace. Imagine, we can teach our children peace starting from their young minds. Art insecurity. Kini ang bantayog ng kapayapaan. It's at the GHQ of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Now, it's made from around 7,000 guns. Now, imagine these guns, each individual of them have stories, but we turn them into something different. A story for peace. No? Ang title ko actually dito, hindi Batayog ng Kapayapaan, but firearms. Literally, fire the arms. No? You cannot achieve peace without putting down your weapon. Okay? So, we also do art in penal colonies. When I did some workshops with the maximum and medium prisoners, kani sila kay dali ra tudluan kay captured audience daan. Dakpa naman. So, easy ra kaya, no? So, naghimo mig labyrinth in the park nila sa sulod sa colony. But the difference is that the lines are barbed wires. And then the prisoners would walk leading to the Lady Justice. But what is, if I may, no, I wanted to share this story kasi medyo na-touch din ako nito. In front of the admin building, there's a huge tree stump. In that tree stump, it has been there for 50 years. Patay siya na puno, sinimento nila. Sabi ko, guys, sabi ko sa mga peso, kaya nating buhayin yan. Madali lang. So ginawa natin sa presa, no? Nilagyan natin ng shoot ng bagong buhay, no? Nilagyan natin ng bagong buhay. So the prisoners hugged me after that, and then they said, "Sir, for the first time in our lives here in prison, we had to have hope again." Water break. Dapat beer break, hindi water break. Para mas maganda. Gisang ko na. Sorry, sir. Gisang po. We also, the worst part of my life is spending a lot of years in mass graves when I was doing mass graves in Leyte, in Typhoon Pablo. Medyo mahaba tong kwento po, but it's really traumatic. But to be part of the healing of these communities is very important for me as an artist. Also with Typhoon Pablo, no, may buhat pa dito in New Bataan, whoever is from Compostela Valley, now Davao de Oro, we build the Tower of Hope. Dito you can go up to this monument where you can see the destruction. But in the first sheet of the Typhoon Pablo, it's in Katiil. In Katiil kasi, dumaan lang yung malakas na hangin, nalipad sila, but they did not die of the wind. You know what killed them? The logs that came down all the way from the mountains. And then there, sabi ko, grabe yung nangyari doon, no? And then, when I was doing my research, there was this one mother that that was dreaming. No? Sabi ng nanay, nalamin kami, she has 3 children. No? So the rescuers were focusing on that spot ng bahay nila. Tapos, ang ginawa doon is, in 3 days nakita nila yung mga bata, they were dead. So in my monument, I created a mother putting a blanket over the children and a father lifting the lamb that killed them. Historical injustice where my monuments were also talismans of memory. Kini ang Rano massacre, 60 people were killed here. 60 people, men, women, children, including pregnant. No? And imagine this, how can art participate? So I imagined a huge lift kasi noon, konti lang po yung pera. So gumawa tayong napakalaking dahon, no? Napatay na. But the leaf is like a dove that flies over to the heavens, and we created a new leaf. This is what I call cultural regeneration. Also in Marawi, we created recently, pumasok tayo doon, no? We gathered the bullet-riddled roofs, tinamaan ng mga bala at mga mortars. We created a dove-shaped structure. I call this the tears from heaven. Yung luha po ng ulan galing sa langit na pupunta doon sa atip at nahuhulog with the marker of the 400 soldiers who died for our country. No? Also in asserting the many indigenous says of God, I made a monument for the Higaonon tribe, for the Tiboli, for the Blaans, the Federais, the Talandigs, for the Bagobos, Banobos, and many more. In places of worship, I created the Christ the Redeemer in Misamis Occidental, Cosmic Christ in Lanao del Norte, the Divine Mercy North Cotabato, Risen Christ in Tagum City. Ang dami po. Even in the seat of Catholicism, in the Vatican, I created the work called Native BP. Binala mo natin yung mga artifacts natin from Mindanao. But that also includes our brothers and sisters na mga Muslim. Dinala ko po doon. Medyo na-question po ako doon, but they accepted us. And they said, this is the universality of the church. And everybody, and all the foreigners were shouting, Filipine, Filipine. In more ways than I can ever imagine, my works have transformed this place and turned it into, and it has also transformed me. Hindi lang po silang nagbago ako rin, no? I come to learn that art is not about the output. The real art is in the process. The process is then the living art, the people, and our evolving culture. I also realized that while I can do a lot on my own, I can do so much more if others were doing it. I needed to replicate myself. So I turned my attention to building platforms. And so the Mindanao Art Fair was born. It happens every year this September. Please join us. Our gala night is on September 27. We have 500 artists from all over Mindanao. Hundreds of artworks by hundreds of artists from all over the island. Through Mindanao Art, my team and I in my organization, the Lawig Diwa, have tried to bring out the creative potential of Mindanao, offering a big platform for the island's hidden talent. But the artists standing out and showcasing their works, the fair foregrounded the challenges. There was an abundance in skill, but a weakness in art. And there is disconnect between the artists and the realities they were painting. So this gave birth to our curriculum of mentorships called Lunang. Lunangan. No, Lunang is short for Lunangan. It's where the Carabao wallows in mud. But here, mud here is our metaphor for earth, and earth is our living culture. Lunang is a 3-day crash course on art where we get to inspire them to root from our cultural past, to direct their art down to earth as their way up to heaven, to navigate the present with the dreams and needs of the people and invite the audience to a future of oneness. My vision, our vision in Lawig Diwa is to cultivate artists that are not only skilled, but well-researched, well-immersed, well-knowledgeable, and empathic, rooted and grounded, passionate and compassionate, and with the conviction for culture. As they say, you cannot give what you don't have. That's why we needed our artists to come out full so they can flourish. These past years, we have partnered with different agencies and organizations. We visited Fisher Fox in their island paradise. Nagtudlutaw art gamit ang kung sa'yo na sila, mga ata sa pusit. Farmers in their fertile lands. Nagtudlutaw art, mga stamping gamit ng mga dahon. No? We also taught revenue returnees in their safe havens. Tudlupod taong art sa mga pineriso, no? Persons deprived of freedom. Inipod ang mga, and then marginalized and abandoned children, and also earthquake victims. So kung asa ang gulbot na agib ko, na ami, so kaning mga artists, we're always attracted to tragedy. No? So if you dissect the word, if you dissect the kanya, no, you listen to this, no? I just thought about this. If you dissect the word community, you would find these words: common, commune, and unity in that one word. When it is common, that is when art becomes accessible to all. When it communes, art helps us connect with earth, people, and the heavens. And when it is about unity, the art bridges divides by simulating shared resonances. Common, commune, unity. Community. This, I believe, ladies and gentlemen, is the future of all art. Siguro pag mga matiguang na tanong, mag-community art na gita. This is where we go back to the source of inspiration. To close my talk, just parang time is up na, no? Pwede mang, since I'm the last speaker, tapusin ko na lang. Okay lang, sir? To close my talk, let me share our recent structure masterclass. Decades after I took up monument making, a thought struck me while I was doing, a thought struck me after all these years that I am now comfortable sharing my lifelong secret. My most valuable sculpting techniques. Ito pwede pagkakitaan. Bakit ko tinuturo ito? I am finally letting go of this medium, which is I call the reinforced concrete, which is cement. Because I found a new medium. My monument digging only led me to you, our mentees, our communities, our people. I have taken a more challenging medium, the human soul. But only a collective can sculpt a culture, and that is our purpose as artists. We need all the help we could get. I am here to invite you to join us. Let us make a dent in this universe. Let us make a better nation, a better world, one community at a time.
I am Kublai. Thank you very much.